Yes, hello everybody. Today we have Assaf Harel as our guest from our Wharton class of 2004 in the Humans of Wharton series. And it's Pinar Yegin and myself, John Ikinci, from Istanbul, who we're going to have a heart-to-heart conversation with Assaf Harel, who is in Tel Aviv these days. So we're all from the class of 2004, and it's been a while since we all caught up. And actually, this is going to be a great opportunity for us all to chat. Hopefully, we'll have a good flowing conversation, not necessarily getting into a lot of career plans and so on, but we would like to get to know Assaf as an individual, as a human. So
You could also say live from the Middle East.
Live from the Middle East,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, exactly. We should say it at the same time, kind of like SNL.
Exactly.
So Assaf, tell us about yourself. Where did you grow up?
Are you kidding me?
Where did the story start?
So nice to meet you. As you said, I'm Israeli. I'm approaching 50. How to believe? Married with two kids, two Iris. John was in our wedding. And that was 10, 11 years ago. Living in the suburbs of Tel Aviv, doing private equity. How's that for a start?
That's great.
You will need to make me speak. I'm not a man of many words,
So maybe you could tell us a little bit about how it all started prior to Wharton, but let's start with where you grew up. What inspired you as a child? What did you enjoy doing as a child? Anything you want to tell us about those times?
Cool. So I grew up in Petah Tikva, which is a city just outside Tel Aviv. It's quite a big one. I would say middle class type of city. My father was an Air Force officer that grew through the ranks to general. My mother was a teacher in my school. Believe it or not, that made life occasionally not that easy, but sometimes very easy, depending on if we're speaking about kids or teachers. I was the first one born. Practically, when I was born, my parents were 22, so we were just kids, right? Think about that. And just to put it in perspective, they were second generation Holocaust survivor, right? So the parents fled from Europe to Israel with basically nothing, just their life, and they were lucky about that. My parents were self-made, but carry with them many of the fears and concerns of people that were pursued in the past. And so I had very protective, do your education, take no risks, work hard, don't play hard. Protective, maybe too protective, I would say. So like in a bubble that was not open to big city life. And in general, Israel is a tiny country surrounded back then by enemies, and which also felt like an island. So there are many bubbles or glass ceiling to break when you think about how what making most people come to pursue higher education in Wharton or other places. And what was inspiring back then? So my father. In the Air Force, he had several subordinate officers that used to work for him that were fighter pilots. And some of them actually also participated in wars, some of them were younger. And I was fascinated by fighter jets early on, visiting bases and squadrons, and cared a lot about how to fly planes, etc. So one of them became my mentor growing up. And later on, when he left the Air Force and started the venture capital firm, I asked him, "Hey, what's venture capital?" And he didn't really bother to tell me about it. He said, "When you can join." back then I was a software engineer, making progress in life, but very slowly. And immediately it took me on this roller coaster of, VC in the bubble days and all the ups and downs. And this is what basically gave me the first, I would say, nudge towards pursuing a career that is not just of engineering or, playing safe. That's in a nutshell.
So you said you were a software engineer, and
No, I actually also been in the Air Force for as an officer for several years, and then I also flew jets for a while, but was grounded because unsafe flying. It's whatever. They probably saved my life, but back then I wasn't that grateful. So I've been in the Air Force for 6 years, and then I started computer science and management at the university. Worked in startup for 2-3 years, and then this guy that was my mentor, his name is Rani, he pulled me from the misery life of writing code into venture capital, and from then helped me to accelerate my ambitions.
so how did you end up in Wharton?
So funny enough, just put it in the perspective of the bubble days, like 2000, 1991, every startup was successful from pet.com to whatever, with no business model, and everything was booming. So,
Which years are you talking about at this point?
Which
The
year?
years? Which
It
years?
was 1999 or 2000. Just
wow.
around 2000. And
First .coms, right?
Yeah, all the dot-com bubble, basically. Yeah. So I had three partners in my firm. One who brought me in, another guy by the name of Oded Rose was a Wharton grad, and another guy that was HBS grad. And dramatically, after a year and a half that I was there, they all squeezed into my room, to the door, and said, "Hey, we decided to promote you, and not only that, we want to send you to business school so you can return as a partner," right? Back then I was a year and a half. I've been with the firm for a year and a half and as an analyst, right? Barely speaking English. But these were the bubble days, and whatever you invest in seems to be successful. I said, "Hey, okay, but what is an MBA, right?" So, so that was the first thing. I knew about it obviously, but I'm not the academic type, so I didn't really thought about it seriously at that point in time. And also bear in mind my previous story that I never thought about studying abroad. So I said, okay. I learned what it is overnight. I thought about it for a while. I said, okay, let's go for it, right? But it was already, I think, third round or something like that. So I asked for the help. So they actually literally wrote my essays for me. But I wasn't accepted back then. It was too late. So a year after that, but that's ignited something that, I used to be very competitive back then and ambitious, and said, "Hey, I can do that, right?" And it sounds interesting. And you probably remember it about the process yourself. Like the more you get into it, the more you want it, and it's becoming. You look at the websites, and everybody's having fun, and the pictures are nice, and drinking beers and whatever. Do not talk about the costs and and all the other aspects of going through this program and how difficult it is to get in. Anyway, so another year passed, and I made the application. Obviously, I shoot for the best schools, and I was lucky to be accepted to work on some other schools as well.
So you got into Wharton, and if you were to describe your Wharton experience in 3 words, what 3 words would you choose?
I think the first one is definitely overwhelming. My language skills were not that advanced at that point in time, and I'm believe it or not, I'm a shy guy. So mixing the two was not helpful. Everything is overwhelming, right? We go to a class with 800 people or so. All seems to be smart and capable and friendly, and it's how to make friendships, right? The first people that I've met were Joel Chang and Astrid, and they're still my friends. This is what happened, right? An orientation, and anyway, and I had to switch an apartment. It was interesting. I think the second one is eye-opening. For me, it was literally out of this world experience, because not only I never thought these things exist. It's not like I traveled a lot in the world before that. Yeah, so I traveled for several months in China, in Tibet, but being with business, meeting people in a context that they need to work together and accomplish things together was not something that I was very much used to. So eye-opening was the second, and I think once I got the hang of it, I think it was a lot of fun. So that would be the third word, and I had fun. Being single in college, in MBA was a lot of fun. I think they'll censor it if we'll open it too much, right? But it was a great experience.
Awesome. I mean, if someone, whenever I hear the name Assaf, the pictures I get from the Wharton years are all about the fun part for some reason. I don't remember. I wouldn't imagine you would have said overwhelming, because you were at all the parties.
And I don't remember you as a shy person, to be honest.
You don't?
You hid that well.
I think I'm still shy, but I think I learned to accept it and maybe use it a lot. It was definitely overwhelming for the first couple of months. I remember it, trying to catch up with all the events and all the people, and we are all foreigners, right? So we had some. You meet many American guys and gals that they've been practicing socializing since kindergarten, and they ask you a question, so you try to be serious when you answer it. Anyway, I remember Ben Ressels, for example, which is a dear friend, come to introduce himself in a party 5 times. At the same time. 5 times. We just met. Oh, okay. It was in the Irish pub at the corner of Rittenhouse Square. Can't remember the name. Anyways, yeah. And I remember, I think you guys were in the same apartment, or you were with Cengiz, right?
Yes, the three of us, we were in the same apartment. It was the Turkish consulate.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I met Turkish people or Nepalese people, or that was a great experience, or Brazilian, or whatever. So it was very, very interesting.
Yeah, that was the best part, I think, for me as well. Making friends from all around the world.
So yeah, and Cengiz is also a very good friend of mine. So it's interesting how Middle Easterns are clicking together. Sometimes when you look at macro geopolitical level, some people may think that we are enemies, or at least dislike each other, which is stupid, right? It's not really the case. Which is also in our opening stuff. We met some people from Lebanon, right? I'm not the enemy.
We all have the same Mediterranean blood.
Exactly. So we can move to the next question.
Go ahead, Pinar.
Okay. So, one of the challenges, I don't know about you, but for me, it's about, juggling, me time, business time, family time. How do you deal with that? And, just how do you prioritize your life, your time? And, how do you go about your life, basically?
So to be honest, I'm on that angle. I'm very fortunate because since graduating, I've been on the buy side, and being on the buy side of private equity, venture capital, one of the things that I think that caught up early on is that it's not necessarily science. It's a mix of art and science. And not necessarily the harder you work, the better your results are. So it's all about being effective when you want to be effective, and let go from the things that you cannot change. So I've been blessed to have very good life-work balance ever since I remember myself. So the question how to juggle life, family, and me time has never been an issue. I know for many people it is, but for me it has not been. I love what I do, so I enjoy waking up in the morning and working with the companies and projects that I choose to work with. It's not like there is someone. I'm a partner in the firm, so I'm an owner. So it's not like I need to motivate myself. I'm already motivated, and there are times when you invest, there are times when you fundraise, there are times when you need to work with companies, and I've been doing it for quite some time. So I know the rhythm. Now I'm entering the phase of managing the fund and the younger partners and professional on the team, which is also challenging but also very interesting. And I don't know if you know it. John knows that my wife. She's a physician. She's an eye surgeon. And she's also 10 years younger than me. So I actually had to support her when she was doing her intense residency and fellowship program. So practically, I also was involved in growing my daughters. Probably more than I actually wanted to, but that was very rewarding and really nice. They'll still hate me when they're teenagers, right? I know that it's going to happen, but I was fortunate. And I have time to do my hobbies. Me time is hiking in the Alps every summer for a week with a friend, and doing kite surfing vacation in Greece once a year with a friend. I don't need a lot more than that, right? So, but guys, how do you balance your life balance? Is it? I know, John. I know it's very balanced, right? It's a person. What about yourself? How do you go about it? You also seem to be relaxed. You just came from the beach, so.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like for me, it merged. Business time is also me time because I'm doing basically something related to arts, and since I've discovered, that artistic side of me, so for me, it's very fluid. I've solved it that way.
Got it.
I mean, you said that I'm pretty balanced, but I think every day in life there's what's getting harder and harder to balance is not just work and non-work. It's also about what do you do with your non-work time, right? How much time do you spend every day for yourself, whether it's working out or whether it's reading or thinking or walking? How much time do you spend for your kids? How much time do you spend for your partner in life? And then what is left to friends? How do you keep up with a constantly growing, or maybe you choose not to grow it, a growing list of friends? And how do you actually maintain those relationships is another aspect. And then there's increasing, as you get older, there's increasing awareness, willingness, and maybe even some expectation that you contribute more to the society. I think that balance, the more senior you get in a role, whether it's your own company or where you work at, you may start to balance your work-life balance much better over time. But I think the other aspects, balancing them in my life has become harder, and it's something that I think about all the time.
Yeah, but I think I'm a little bit more I'm older than you too, so with age comes some realization that I'm probably not going to manage KKR, right, or Blackstone. I'm happy with with what I do. It can always be much better, bigger, faster, greater people. But I'm on it. I'm doing it on my day to day. I'm not taking it home, and just let go. You know that you cannot be the best in what you do, and to take only care of yourself. There is not enough time in the world to spend with your kids, right? And obviously with the wife, and you need to balance and just be happy with what you can do.
I think being content with your life is all about how aligned you are with the life you want to live and the life you're actually living, right? So, and it's all about internal fulfillment and how you define what you want to live. If you're at peace with that, whether it's working 100 hours a week or being with your kids 100 hours a week, everything is fine. Right? There is no right answer. And I think it comes with age that you learn to be more at peace with your choices as long as you have those clear choices.
Stop comparing to it and so comparing,
Exactly.
right? Because
Exactly. So,
we were all ambitious, otherwise we would never meet in Wharton, right? And then you look, then you're competing over jobs, and then you're competing over promotion and stuff like that. And one of the guys, the class ahead of us, is running Google, right? At some point, you understand that some people are being in the right place at the right time with the right talent. And if you compare yourself, it's a losing proposition, right? Because I have one of my best friends is he owns a Toyota garage and agency. He's the happiest guy alive.
I mean, if you keep doing the same things over and over, even if you may be creating some variety, I'm not sure how much variety you're creating, but what actually drives you to get up every morning? Or do you need that drive? Do you need something for that drive, or you're okay with such a balanced life and then every day is different?
No. Listen, deep down, speaking for myself, I'm still super ambitious, right? But I'm not measuring myself on a minute by minute basis, right? So for me, I'm in the same shop. I'm a partner at IGP, which is one of the larger growth equity funds in Israel. And so we are now finishing our second fund. It's doing very, very well. It's a very good time to be in technology investing and especially in growth. There's some ups and downs, and obviously moments that are more difficult on the human aspect of running the business, as you all know it. But at the end of the day, it's again, I've been lucky to do what I do, and
Assaf, it's been 17 years now since we graduated from Wharton. A long time when you think about it, almost 20 years. If you were to look back who you were then and who you are now, how have you changed?
I don't know. You tell me. Don't you feel the same?
And you mentioned something about unsafe flying during the Air Force. Take it all the way back. How did that guy
No, but
unsafe the guy, crazy guy, then the shy guy at Wharton, and now look at you.
I wasn't. Although from the ground it might have looked crazy, the motivation behind it wasn't. It was childish. I was overachieving. I was over motivated, and I was taking unnecessary risks. In order to accomplish the mission, or the exercise, or the maneuver, or whatever. And this was because not from lack of maturity, not because of self-confidence and stuff like that. On the contrary, it was from the pressure and competing with another 20 guys as cadets in the squadron over graduating first. And I had the opportunity to go back to Air Force Academy, and after being officer for a few years, and I thought that it's probably not good for me. I revisited this decision many times. I'm not sure that that was the right decision at the time, but anyway, it was decision made, and so I don't think I would go back then. And I'm also, if you go back in time, you miss on all the people and experiences and that you have met, and I wouldn't change that. And to your question, John, I feel the same. I feel the same. Maybe a little bit smoother around the edges, just maybe.
So you still have the energy to go to like 5 parties a week?
No, you give me too much credit. This is what everyone was doing, and it's not like there was something else to do, right? No complaints, but no, I, yeah, occasionally I missed it. Occasionally I missed it, right? But that was a different state of mind. It's not like I can with today's mind. I don't think I can enjoy it, right? Or probably not in that intensity that we have used. If we enjoyed it in the Walasa house, that was the name, right? Walasa house.
I think so. Yes. Yes.
European house or whatever. Some crazy times. That was fun, but I don't know. It's out for you guys, but after a couple of years at Wharton, I think it was enough. Like I didn't feel that I want to do it for another year.
But about talking about change and how you've changed. You at some point you mentioned that you've changed your measuring stick for yourself, for your achievements. How did you change those measuring sticks, and what led you to it?
So by choice, I can give you a couple of examples. Okay. So when I moved back to Israel, I was really into kite surfing. I was into kiteboarding, kite surfing. This was my life, right? I was, every time there was wind, I was away from the office, and one of the guys that I was traveling to do kite surfing with he was the CEO of a startup, then taking it public, becoming filthy rich. And we were still driving and having fun and kite surfing, like, best friends. But I found myself becoming a little bit jealous because of his success while I'm still making my first steps at venture capital, private equity. And it didn't help me or him or the relationship because, first he was older than me, but he was super successful. But it doesn't mean anything about my life, right? If I want to do it, I can go out and do it. Coincidentally, I met another guy while waiting for the wind one of the days in the Sea of Galilee for the wind to pick up. A guy that, we were just having fun and talking about girls or whatever. And later, after a week or two, I learned that this guy is one of the richest guys in Israel, like a billionaire. So he became a friend of mine, right? What's the point of comparing?
So you're talking a lot about living your best at the present, but do you also think?
I'm also trying to convince myself. Don't forget there is also this chance, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like a lot of ambitious people, I'm sure there's a lot of thoughts about, okay, what's for me in the next 10 years? I'm almost 50 now. I'm going to be almost 60 in 10 years. Where do I want to live? What kind of a life do I want to live? Do these questions occupy your head a lot or not? And what are some of those thoughts?
You can definitely dive into these thoughts and talk about them for the next decade, right? Because there is always the next 5 years or a decade until there is not. I don't think about it too much. I'm in a business that when you raise a fund, you raise it for 10 years. So career-wise, we're making the decisions early on. And the longer you are committed to it, or the longer you're in the same firm, it's harder for you to make changes because of the economics working this way in private equity. So career-wise, I'm planning and I'm going to make some changes, and I'm making them right now. So I'm on it. On a personal level, I still have very young kids at home. Yuli, my older one, she's 9.5, and Ellie, the younger one, she's turning 7. And just between us guys, Iris, my wife, wants more kids. So I think that I'm going to be in this, washing machine for the next few years as well, which on one hand will make me young and sometimes sleepless. On the other hand, will prevent me from thinking about the meaning of life. But maybe I should think about it more. Listen, I'm still obsessed with card surfing. I'm still anyway. So there is always thing to do, but yeah, maybe my takeaway from this conversation that I should start asking myself this question more seriously. There are many things that I would like to do more, but I want to meet friends more often, right? We should catch up not only on this video, but more often. And what's prevent me to come to Istanbul and meet you guys, or the other way around. So if there is a resolution that needs to be taken, probably this is the one. Spend more time with friends and have meaningful relationships. For me, it's not that I cannot improve my career. I can, but I'm on it. I'm doing it. Maybe I will not be successful, but this is what I do day in, day out, and I can affect my future and the future around me. So this is not something I need to think. I'm on it. Family, it's going to be interesting for the next few years as well. And what's left is hobbies and friends, which there is never enough of. Right? So all the young people that are listening to this video, this is the takeaway you should have. the two people that are actually going to watch it. No offense.
So, to those 2 young people who will be watching this video eventually, what is your advice? Why is advice? If what would you tell them if they were starting their time at Wharton, how to go about their lives?
It's a good question. I think so. This type of conversations actually have a lot with people that want to make career changes and go to Wharton. I think Wharton is an MBA in general. It's a great opportunity to be open and rethink what you want to do with your life, because it's a pivotal moment. There are people that are coming from engineers and emerging as venture capitalists or consultants or bankers, or coming from government sector and doing entrepreneurship or stuff like that, or hardcore finance. I didn't know a lot about what I want to do. I came to school with one mission, and I was fortunate to looking back 17 years ago, I'm doing what I wanted to do, but I never actually reconsidered all the other options before continuing on course. And if I would go to Wharton, I wish I could be more open-minded to other things. It's easier said than done, right? But I think it's an opportunity to make a pivot in your life or reevaluate what you want to do. And you meet a lot of people that are in the same situation. And the sky is the limit, right? Look at the people that graduated with us, and some people really went places. And we start to see that, whether it's as entrepreneur or NGOs or people running McKinsey in Brazil or whatever, or Google.
Let me ask for a more difficult advice question. If you had only one sentence advice to your two kids and maybe the future ones, what is that one sentence?
To to uh, to uh, to my daughters, you mean?
Yes.
So before I get to the sentence, just to remind you, I'm coming from a very conservative, grounded family. And for example, my dad's reaction telling me that I want to be a venture capitalist, not an engineer, he asked me why and tried to convince me to stay an engineer. And when I want, and even before that, when I was in high school, I told him I want to be a fighter pilot. I said, "What do you want to do? Go and be an engineer." And when I told him I want to study abroad, he say, "Why? Why do you want to do that? You're very good in what you do." So, in hindsight, he always told me that he was trying to ground me so I'll break loose, but I don't think he was doing that. So, what I would tell my girls is don't be afraid to experience, even at the cost of occasionally failing. Um, and I'm not talking about experiencing drugs and stuff like that, but just don't be afraid of experiences and changes and what can happen. Right? My young girl already wants to go to MIT. I told her, why you want to go to second tier school? But she wants to go to MIT.
Go straight.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know if you know, but we lived in Boston for 1 year recently. So. Anyways, yeah.
So, what is a perfect day for you? How much kite surfing does it involve?
How much what?
Kite surfing.
In Israel, we live, we live relatively close to the beach. You can see the beach from right here. But the season of kite surfing is when the weather is changing. It's in the spring and autumn. So right, and then you have northern winds. They usually come in sequence of 3 days, and then you don't have anything for a week. So last weekend was a sequence like that. It was just great. You leave work at around, you clear your calendar. You leave work at around noon, you're in the water at 1, kite cycling for a few hours, then drinking beers with your friends after the session, and being home for dinner with the girls, and going to sleep at 9 after exhausted. That's a perfect day for me. I had 2 of those last week, and that was just great. And it's simple, right? It's not. Maybe I should have again higher ambitions.
No, I'm kind of like you too. Like, a perfect day is actually, from outside, something that looks very simple and even boring, actually. And that's, perfect day for me, like with family and friends and just doing very simple things. I think we get to appreciate them more and more.
But that is, I think, the highest ambition anyway. When you say, maybe I should have higher ambitions, I think the highest ambition you can achieve is to go back to the beach, right? For kite surfing. I go to LA most summers, and I started learning regular surfing because I windsurf in Turkey, but the wave surfing I started taking lessons. And when you're sitting in the water in Santa Monica or Venice Beach at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday and thinking, okay, there are millions and billions of people in offices right now, and here I am living this out of this world life with my feet in the water, talking to beach dudes of California who are here pretty much every single day. It gives you a very different perspective of life. And I think...
Although it needs to be special. If you could do it every day, then it's not special.
For sure. Yeah. But having the flexibility and having the choice to be able to do that any given day is the real deal, I think. That's the real ultimate goal for me. If I'm choosing to be in an office 10 hours a day on that day, it's okay. But if I'm choosing to be on a surfboard 10 hours a day, and being able to choose that on a day-to-day basis, that would be the ultimate summit point for me. Not necessarily
That would be a
achieving
nice measuring
something
stick.
career-wise, but being able to have that flexibility and feel good about it. I have one last question, Assaf. If you could eat dinner with anyone who can be dead or alive, who would it be and why?
It sounds like one of the essays I had to write.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Wharton or
You can go back to school now with those questions.
so. So that's an easy one for me. I think that would be either Neil Armstrong or Chuck Yeagle.
Neil Armstrong or?
Either Neil Armstrong or Chuck Yeagle.
Okay.
So
Tell us more.
the mix of flight and space entrepreneurs, pushing the barrier, being the first to do something. That would be easy for me. I can speak to them probably for the entire night. The level of experiences that they've had from being young, people drafted into World War II, flying planes, fighting Nazis, coming back to the States, being pioneers in the jet era, in case for Neil also space. That is very, very inspiring and very special. What would be your answer?
For me, it would be, I think it would be Enzo Ferrari, because he was, not only because I'm crazy about cars, but he was quite a character. The more you read and watch documentaries about his era of how he made Ferrari from nothing, and how many obstacles there were, but how he just created something that was not being replicated for a long, long time. It's just a passion there, and the drive that of one person, which infected many other people. That comes even to today. You see a lot of Formula One fans waving their flags, and you think, why? Right? It's because these drivers get paid to go one team to the other team every single year. Then what brings these people together? All these Scuderia Ferrari fans. It's just it all comes together from one person's passion, and I don't know what I would learn from him because I don't think it's something you can learn and apply in your life. But I would love to meet someone as passionate about what he does in life.
So, Assaf, in wrapping up, can you please complete this sentence? Wharton to me is blank.
A happy place.
That you would like to go back? Maybe for the 20th year reunion?
So this I cannot put it in one sentence, but I've great memories, and it used to be a happy place for me. Met you guys and many other friends, and I think that was very pivotal for me, not necessarily career-wise, but personally, on the bigger scheme of life, or opened the horizon for me. Okay, thank you very
Cool,
much
guys.
for
Take
asking these
care.
nice questions and letting me to prepare to them.
And it's great to see all of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for arranging that. I know that nobody is going to watch it, so at least we had fun.